I am here with a former student of mine, Shardul Bansal, who is just finished his degree in computer science, and we're here to chat about computer science and what he's been up to. Welcome, Shardul.
Hi, Mr. Baumgarten. So great to be here. It's I really appreciate the invitation. I appreciate you reaching out. I'm excited to connect, catch up, and talk all things CS and not.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, let's start off by what drew you, excited you about computer science in the first place.
That's a really good question, and I don't know how to answer that, because it's you could say something like, oh, the ability to code and actually decide what the computer does on on a basic program that you've written. That's I would say that's an exciting part of the process. But what attracted me towards computer science is, yeah, Mr. Baumgarten, you attracted me to the actual field, the fact that you could have open discourse within the classroom, that kind of discussion was encouraged. We were it was encouraged to kind of do this kind of thing in your own time, socialize about it, talk about it. That kind of the process, I think, that's set in place by teachers is probably one of the most important things to actually get students interested in a particular field. Before I kind of took computer science in the IB on a whim. I was gonna do a standard little math, physics, chemistry thing, and then maybe go into applied math or some sort of physicist field or something like that. But
because computer science didn't exist at your school beforehand, there wasn't a pre-existing legacy of the subject there. So signing up for it in the very first intake for something as high stakes as the diploma, what was it that caused you to kind of jump off that cliff?
This is gonna sound bad, but maybe you can edit this in post-production. I didn't want to take chemistry.
Fair enough.
I did not want to take chemistry. That was probably one of the biggest reasons why I took computer science. And that one,
whatever it takes. And from there, a whole life's journey has changed direction.
Completely. I remember having that conversation with my parents, and it was like, I'm not psyched about chemistry, and computer science is a possibility. And remember, Mom, when I used to fix all your laptops and stuff, maybe this is maybe this is my calling. God, I'm so glad I kind of just took that on a whim. That was fantastic.
Yeah, and now you've gone on and completed a degree in computer science. So at this point in time, what is it that excites you about computer science?
Oh man, I would say that right now we're for probably the longest time imaginable, we've all been interacting in the physical world, right? That's how all of our interactions have been, through physically meeting one another, doing everything physically. And over the past maybe, I don't know, 2 decades or something like that, we've had this opportunity that we've never had before to actually interact with one another in the virtual world. And the idea that someone's virtual avatar, someone's virtual presence is only going to grow with time is something that's really exciting. And there's really interesting kind of fields that are trying to tackle this particular thing. You've got cloud, you've got artificial intelligence, you've got machine learning subset of that, you've got computer vision, you've got all these very interesting categories within computer science that are enabling people to interact in this virtual world that we're creating. That's probably the most exciting thing.
And getting to be part of all that, of helping create that. So so you've just done your degree at University of Toronto, is that correct?
Yes, just completed it.
And so what was it that caused you to apply to their school, and did it live up to your expectations after the fact? If we need to edit any of this out in post, let me know.
Yeah, I feel like all of these answers is gonna have to be edited out in post. So okay, I applied to universities in the UK. I applied to like Cambridge, applied to Imperial and stuff. And like I couldn't get into like maybe my top choices and things like that. And my brother was in the UK then as well. And he suggested that with, you know, I think what was it? Was it 2016? Like Brexit happened.
I think that's when the vote was originally, or
was that when ago. Something, yeah, 2016, because I graduated 2017, so it's probably around 2016 when the vote happened for Brexit, which kind of also swayed me from not going to the UK. It was just getting difficult for my brother to like be sponsored for work visa and things like that. Like the fact that I carry an Indian passport with me, you know, like I carry it with pride, but of course there's like limitations to that as well. And Canada is a kind of a very welcoming country in that sort of aspect. And I heard a lot of great things about Waterloo, where University of Waterloo was a great school, because you would have like these kind of big tech companies, which was, I guess, like growing up like a, you know, like a dream to work for one of these guys. You'd have like you'd have the ability to kind of interview for these guys, maybe intern there, and then, you know, if things fell into the like correct places, you'd be able to do a full-time role there. So I did apply to Waterloo, and I got accepted into the math program there, which was like, no, I don't want to do that. I don't want to settle for math. Yeah, like computer science co-op was this very kind of it was a competitive program to get into. So again, hopefully this sounds better in post-production, but I was like, University of Toronto it is. Maybe we're just going to a completely new continent, country, yep, city on a whim, and hopefully it works out. And then the second part of your question was like, has it lived up to the expectations?
Yeah.
And I got lucky. I got really lucky. The computer sciences program, like the computer science program at U of T, you know, University of Toronto is one of the best in the world. They're really like investing heavily in the machine learning space. They had one of the actual I would say one of the people who's really popularized the field in like 2012. He was a University of Toronto professor, Jeffrey Hinton. He was there. Like he kind of has created this really fantastic environment for research that like students can partake in, as well as for inventing new interesting things. So I would highly recommend U of T if you're looking to maybe, I don't know, like go in that particular field.
Awesome. And as you're well aware, I've got a student of mine who's just graduated now who's heading there. Kind of a nice segue though. I frequently do have students asking me advice about university choices. So, you spoke a little bit about the machine learning side of things there. Is there anything else about the ComSci course at UT itself, in terms of the specializations or extracurriculars and clubs? Like I know we've exchanged some messages about some stuff you did there, and yeah, in terms of how you feel it compares to other CS schools.
Is there anything? Yeah, there's. Okay, it's a big university. It's a big university. If you're looking for like, you know what, I'm looking for like a fantastic university experience where I'm meeting a ton of people that are sociable and interesting. Like computer science as a degree is not gonna help you with that. It's not that. You're not gonna meet.
It's not the linchpin of your social life, is what you're saying.
No, not at all. Actually, a majority of my friends were out of computer science, but like a few of my closest friends were ones who were studying computer science and were also very sociable. But you will, yeah, like that's a that's a path that people are gonna kind of
How
figure
big
out on
is
their own.
the ComSci school there each year?
So every cohort has roughly like 450 students, something like that, and
Well, in just ComSci?
In just computer science.
Oh,
yeah.
wow. Okay.
Yeah, it's a pretty big cohort. I think, we were one of the smaller ones. It's now increased. They are trying to, like, the demand is there in terms of people wishing to study computer science. Like, my first year was kind of brutal for the reason that I needed to maintain an 85% average between a couple of computer science courses to be able to actually study computer science in my second, third, and fourth year. And they had this kind of pretty brutal level because they had like a few spots. They had only like 400 spots, and they probably had something like I think 22, maybe 2,300 students applied.
Right.
So
yeah,
like it was kind of like a 25% like cutoff, or 85% cutoff rate if you like wish to study the actual program. But I think they've switched it up now. They've switched it up. They made the system way better. Like there's an interview process as well. They are trying to make sure that people wish to study this, wish to study this degree are good communicators and are able to also do that
awesome.
Other aspect of.
Yeah, so I guess a university that size then is, the student life and extracurricular side of things is just going to be whatever you want to do. It's there, all the sports programs, all the arts programs, all that kind of stuff.
It's all there.
Yeah.
It's all there. There's a great deal of things that you can do. I was in my first year, I played a bunch of tennis. There's like volleyball. There's like pretty decent facilities. Like I swam a lot as well.
Yeah.
This feels so weird to just say pre-COVID, but yeah, like you could do all these things.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of interesting activities actually because of like the scale of the university as well. Maybe we can delve a little deeper into some of my extracurriculars and like the next question or something.
Yeah, well, I was thinking in terms of computer science extracurriculars, like I was really interested in that Project X that you sent me the link to some time ago.
Right.
Do you want to outline what that was all about?
Sure. So the inception of the idea was essentially that we were seeing there was this like great amount of talent studying computer science across, like, let's just say all of the universities in North America for the sake of dealing with like a few time zones. That was, let's say that there's talent everywhere, it's just, it's so much easier logistically if you just like focus on one content. And so, we felt like there's a great amount of talent studying computer science in North America. And these guys are like, I'm not sure if they're really kind of striving to solve the problems that plague us today, which are, climate change or accessible medicine, or maybe like any of the problems laid out in like the sustainable development goals. And what we wanted to do is we wanted to create a program or like a competition that created this collaborative / also actually competitive environment where people could tackle like a particular issue in climate change. Climate change is what we decided to tackle this in this particular year. We were hoping that like we can get computer scientists thinking in this direction. And so we had like a 3-month competition where people were taking on problems within this particular sphere. And we had a 70,000, or actually no, it was in the end it was a $65,000 prize pool for all like the winning teams. And the idea was that they were going to be kind of flown to University of Toronto and stuff. That became real difficult when COVID hit. So but like we got students from like MIT and Cornell, Carnegie Mellon, and kind of all these schools to contribute to this competition.
Awesome. No, it looked like it would have been a lot of fun. So I guess your biggest highlights from your 4 years at uni?
One of the highlights would be going on, like, the first one I would say, and probably one that I can remember easiest, was like doing a like RV trip across Canada, Montreal to Vancouver. Second thing would probably be Project X. I really enjoyed hosting that competition. It was fantastic. And I would also put in startups and slash hackathons, anything like any kind of those projects that were out of the actual coursework were invigorating to work on and kind of energized.
Outside of coursework, that's the most fun, isn't it?
It's always the stuff outside of the coursework. There's something about an adult telling you to do something that really turns you off.
Yeah.
It's the case when I was 15. It's the case when I'm 22.
I don't think you ever grow out of it. So
okay. Alrighty. Well, yeah, I was hoping to, but it's good to know.
So obviously the main audience of this video is going to be current high school students. What tips would you have for them on preparing to embark on a future career or, future studies into computer science?
Okay.
For a competitive course, such as University of Toronto.
Okay, high school students, it's time to take the pen and paper out. Let's number one. Okay, I don't know. I would say don't focus on the language. Language is never the important thing. Just focus on like in the early couple of years of like you studying computer science, it's really about cultivating the interest. So pick a project that you would find interesting. Mr. Baumgarten, do you remember I made a garbage program that allowed you to guess a number between 1 and 100, and I did not know that for loops existed in Java, and so I just did a bunch of if statements going through. That program was so easy, and it was probably 80 lines of code, but doesn't matter. It really consolidated the idea of if statements for me, and I had fun, which was important. So I would say don't focus on the language. I would actually probably not recommend Java to start off with. Java was
I'd agree with that.
Brutal. Yeah, exactly. Start off with Python. You can it's basically English with a what we joke about in terms of Python is essentially just pseudocode that compilable pseudocode. So
I mean, it allows you to focus on the problem solving and the solution design rather than having to worry about this construct of a language.
Yeah, exactly. And that's so important. Like the idea of a language should be something that you're introduced to like much after. So anyway, first I would probably say first like before coming to university, I was like the kind of intro programming course that you need to like score highly in was in Python, and I was not familiar with it, but just pick an easy language to kind of get an interest. The language really doesn't matter. Yeah. Another thing that I would recommend you do is, that's probably the only technical thing that I'm going to suggest. Everything else is find friends in your degree that you're taking your courses with. You're going to be working in a team for like the entirety of your life, and it's a great idea to start at the university level, where if you're excited to work with someone on a particular project, it's so much easier doing the work versus like this person was just kind of sitting next to me and I didn't really know them, but let's just like do this particular project, and it's kind of a chore instead of fun stuff. But like find friends. That I had like a kind of handful of people that I used to discuss like our course selections with in the summers, and then we'd go into all these courses together and like work on stuff together. That's another thing. And then I'm sure like the university, as well as parents or any circumstance you're in, is going to apply pressure. So like just have fun, just chill out, have fun,
enjoy the ride.
Enjoy the ride. This is 4 years of your life that you're never going to get back. Like I hated, like I did not hated is a strong word. Maybe we can again delete that in post-production, but I disliked people who said that like the 4 years of their degree were the, some of the best years of their life, because it just means that like, everything after that is downhill. But maybe there is a kernel of truth to that, like go out, go partying, meet people, do interesting stuff, like flush out your personality, like even when employers are looking out to hire you, they want to work with interesting people. Your coworkers want to work with interesting people. Like, it's so important to kind of have interests outside of this as well.
So for a high schooler now, who's maybe doing GCSE or diploma, what should they be doing in their secondary years to help their applications stand out when they're applying for universities?
I would talk to a guidance counselor about that, because I don't really know what a good thing looks like. And honestly, like if the end goal for you is to work on something interesting, you just have to make sure that you're amongst fun, interesting, and hardworking, like intellectually stimulating people. Like that's just the important thing. Like the university doesn't really matter. It's just so long as you think that the people there are, like not a ton better, but like slightly better than you as a developer. Like that's just the most important thing. Like you want to just make sure that you're hanging out with
people who are going to stretch you and challenge you, and inspire.
Yeah, that's exactly it. So
awesome.
I don't really have any advice to apply, but I feel like those things are
awesome.
Those
all right.
Help, yeah.
So you've just finished applying for jobs and have accepted a position. And
right.
You've just started this week, I believe. Is that right?
Yeah, I've just had my first week as we speak. Yeah.
So you want to tell us what you're doing?
Sure. I'm a software developer at Amazon. Not at Amazon, at AWS, subsidiary of Amazon. So Amazon Web Services. Yep. I'm currently part of the Cloud Map team. And what these guys do is this is just going to be mumbo jumbo to high school students, but hey, if you guys can Google your way through this, congratulations, you're ready for the degree.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you know what? Oh, one piece, I feel like I should have said this earlier, but Google is going to be your best friend. Stack Overflow is also going to be a great friend. Yeah. Second best friend. Yeah, exactly. And then actual real people are going to come in third, fourth, fifth, take those slots. It's so key. Like any of the work that you're doing like that has probably already been done before, but it's just about searching and Googling the right things. I started a role at AWS and working on the Cloud Map team. What they do is they provide service discovery for their cloud infrastructure to their like clients around the world. So service discovery is like the idea that you're able to observe what all your resources and instances within the actual cloud architecture are, how they're doing. Like you're able to check on their health, you're able to check on like their IPs and things like that. So
awesome.
Yeah.
Fun.
Hopefully that gives you some idea.
Yeah.
Not sure if that. Yeah.
I followed along.
Okay, great.
Brilliant. And so you've just started this week, haven't you?
I just started this week. I had my first week. Was doing a lot of onboarding.
Yeah.
I was actually.
Are you on site or are you working remote?
I'm going to the office. You have the option to go into the office, so I was like, yeah, I'm definitely going to utilize that, because one thing that I learned from my degree is just I don't know, I don't work well in my room. Yeah. And right now, even like after starting my role, like I'm essentially still living in a room with like a bed and a kitchen and like I'm in my dining space right now, but 1 foot to my right is my kitchen, one foot to my left is my bedroom. So
tell us what the application and interview process was like.
Sure. So I
because the memes on the internet are that it's all about leak code and whiteboarding and all that kind of stuff. So
there is some element to that, definitely. It's your ability to kind of like lead. Yeah, like you can either. I had a friend who he lead coded. I think he lead coded 250 problems,
Oh my
and
God.
like he went on to intern at Google, and then he did a stunt at Amazon as well.
Yeah.
And then I don't know what he's up to now, but the guy was all about like memorizing all the problems that they could potentially ask you, which guess what? I'm not gonna recommend. Like it's all fun to do that. Don't do that.
Yeah.
You can get to your goals without needing to do something like that. I did a quite a bit of lead coding. Honestly, like the data structures and the algorithms courses that you're gonna take with in your university are gonna be hugely important if you pay attention, and if you kind of excel in those courses, it'll really minimize the amount of lead coding you're gonna have to do. But yeah, like
Yeah.
I also was reading Cracking the Coding Interview by
Yeah.
something
Yeah.
Kale
I know
Lockman or something. Yeah,
can't remember the author,
her
but I know
name.
the book. Yeah.
Yeah. That's such a staple. It's a staple in like
Yeah.
the software developer world to kind of
We
yeah.
gave that as our book prize to the computer science student this year.
Oh, that's actually such a great idea. Damn, I hope they're making good use of that, because that is used everywhere, and it's like she I again I can't remember her name. I'm just gonna do a quick Google. Uh, she oh yeah, okay, Gail Lockman McDowell, that's her, and she updates this like the book every couple of years. So definitely like I just give it a read, um, and it'll help you refresh on the ideas that you learned in your courses, but um just make sure those are solid. And I would say more than lead coding, the I don't know, after having applied to like maybe near 100 jobs over the past 4 years,
Oh my goodness.
just for like internships and stuff like that,
Yeah.
like it adds up, like, but by the fourth year, like I like developed the system. Essentially the essence is that like connection that you build from a person working at that company
Yeah.
is hugely important, and that's kind of the only way that I was able to get like my like kind of first offer from IBM, and then my offer from Amazon.
So yeah, so it's the old adage of who you know rather than what you know still trumps.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's exactly it. So and it's definitely like the process is still grounded in meritocracy. So like you still have to be pretty decent, but so long as you can get someone to reference you or something like that, if you can get a pair of eyes on your resume,
Yeah.
it's important. But um yeah, just the idea of maybe finding someone on LinkedIn, going to some of these career fairs, reaching out to people. Like being a university student actually gives you a lot of power. Like people, like people have been in that situation. They look back and they're like, damn, I kind of wish like they look back and they realize like, yeah, people helping me out have gotten me to the place that I am at. So if some like, uni student does reach out, like I want to pay that forward. I want to pay
Yeah.
that kind of debt that I had forward. And so reach out to people and find out how you can find out about their role, like take an interest in what they're doing, and kind of build that connection over a couple of years.
Awesome. I guess that's also like where internships and all that come in handy, because there's people who know you that that can speak about you to prospective employers and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Yeah, internships are great like that as well. And even if you're not doing like an internship in like a high flying, highfalutin, like fancy tech job or like tech company or something, but you're working on like a project that interests you, even like at a small like startup or something. That's what I did for like my like 3 years. My first year, it was just I was just interning with a friend, like, and his brother and like a couple other people like that. Then like came up with this idea to completely revolutionize the way people find music. Which, looking back, makes me sound so pompous and full of myself. But you have to be like, you have to be full of yourself to kind of believe in that idea, have faith in it. We wanted to kind of make that happen.
Oh, I mean, all the successful startups have just come from someone who was prepared to back themselves. So
right, yeah, exactly. So the idea was really great, and even though it like hasn't fully worked out, I learned so much just in terms of like understanding what software engineering looks like, what tech stacks are, things like that. And then like I did an internship, like an actual like mid-sized company with like 300-400 fellows when I was kind of doing some interesting like data automation, which was really cool. And then yeah, like I just did a couple startups last summer. I tried to leverage some knowledge that I'd gained in like machine learning courses by working as like an NLP natural language processing intern. And then yeah, I was like, I'm excited to kind of maybe use all the knowledge that I've come up with and work at like a big tech firm to kind of gain some XP under the belt.
Yeah. I don't know if you can answer this on a recording, but I'm curious to know why you picked AWS over IBM.
The idea was exactly the same when I was choosing my university. Not that it was on a whim. The idea was that where do I see myself being surrounded by people that will push me to my limit, people that will help me grow as a person. Awesome. And when it came to answering that question, I felt that Amazon and AWS were going to provide that opportunity more so than IBM, even though I know IBM is like completely reinventing. They've been going through a massive journey of reinventing themselves, and they're doing absolute bits in like the cloud industry, as well as providing Watson to as many people as possible, like open sourcing a lot of their work. It's they're going through a like I don't even know if it's a second, maybe like their fourth or fifth renaissance, something like that. But yeah, it came to just answering that question for me.
Awesome, that's fantastic. 5 or 10 years down the track, what's Shardul going to be up to?
I'm going to be in 5 to 10 years. I don't know, because if you would have asked me 5 years ago, where am I going to be? Vancouver would have not been in like the top 50 guesses that I would have had. So I don't know where I'm going to be physically. I just hope that I'm solving interesting problems and problems that can actually benefit our society. Yeah, and that's essentially all I can say.
Is there any kind of particular draw between like working for Big Fang versus doing your own startup with a couple of others, or or joining some other pre-existing startup? Or
I feel like I don't know, us as humans, we like to find patterns in like things where patterns might not exist. So I'm going to give a biased answer of saying, yeah, well, like you understand about good software engineering practices and principles. So if you do want to go on to like have your own startup, you've done like, you have some XP under your belt, but really like there's no formula or method.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I am of the belief that
see where the inspiration
being able to, see where inspiration takes you. But I'm also of the belief that I know nothing about like any of the world's problems right now, and it would be nice to kind of get exposure over the next kind of few years to really understand if there's areas that could be made more efficient or anything like that. It's up to you how you go on that journey. But startups, you learn a lot from. You're just wearing a lot of different hats. And a big tech company, you understand like you understand that like the code that you write, the software engineering that you do, impacts millions of people around the world. So it turns you into a really, really fantastic developer. I guess the question would then be boiled down to, or the answer would be boiled down to like depth versus breadth.
Yeah.
What's your interest? Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's cool. All right. So for those high school students who are not straight white male English speaking background, what's it like at the tertiary level studying a field like computer science? How welcoming would you say the culture was at the university you were at, and I guess at the different companies you've interned at, and in terms of your overall feeling of where industry is at?
Yeah, I think a straight brown male is probably just as apparent in this particular field, or just as I don't know, I'm like the word isn't there, but yeah, like straight Asian male, straight white male, it's like really honestly the industry is kind of full of us. So if you are a person, like who adding diversity to this particular like field, and if you're on the fence about like going for it, I say you go for it. Like the idea of just taking a leap of faith and doing something just like that interests you within this particular field, kind of pursue that. And I am not really, like, I guess, the greatest person when it comes to maybe understanding the systems that need to be put in place to enable that, but it just needs to come from at an early age, encouraging young women, kind of young people of color to pursue this pursue STEM in general. And then hopefully computer science also gets like as a byproduct gets some talent through that pipeline as well.
Yeah. Any podcasts I listen to, they always tend to have some closing rapid fire questions. So
beauty.
Let's have a go at this. Mac, Windows, or Linux?
Mac.
Okay. Favorite language or framework?
Python. Framework. React.
Cool. Okay. Favorite gadget at the moment?
DJI Mini 2.
I saw that video. That looked like it was a good fun trip. And next big thing in computer science?
Solving problems in medicine.
Awesome. Yeah.
Probably the pharma industry.
Very relevant in today's world.
Oh yeah. Definitely.
Well, Shardul, this has been a heap of fun, and you've given me a nice big editing job ahead of me. So, any final words before I stop the recording?
Yeah, if you're a student and you're unsure about anything that I've said, and you're trying to understand, like, he said this thing, but I don't really know what he's talking about. Feel free to reach out to me on Messenger, under the name Shardul Bansal. I haven't updated my Facebook profile in years, so I don't know where it says where I'm currently living, but hopefully you'll be able to piece a couple things together and find me. Yeah.
Very generous of you. And thank you so much for giving up your time for this interview as well.